Our second speaker is a senior science research specialist, also from the DOST-ASTI's Research and Development Division. She is currently involved in conducting business process reviews to capture requirements and the current work setup, conceptualizing, designing, and developing business process models and notations or BPMNs, and leading and participating in the design, development, and implementation of the business process management strategies, among many others. She is here today to give a presentation on capacity building on BPM and a demo on sample processes. Please welcome Ms. Jessica F. Pasos.
Thank you, Sir Paul. Okay, so just to have a quick recap, we have learned about the general vision of the government, the relation and importance of technology and process management. Why is there a need of BPM in the public sector? We also tackled the different case studies as well as the initiatives and challenges along the BPM implementation. While all of these things are critical and relevant to BPM, the question is, are all of these are enough to have a BPM success? The answer is no. The knowledge and ability alone is not enough to deliver what is required. Any organization, especially the public sector, that plans to perform the BPM must know its competence. That's why capacity and capability building is a must. So what are these capacity and capability building on BPM all about? We have here three examples. Number one, assessment of skills. Number two, availability of resources. And number three, industry and academic support. So let's know more about this capacity and capability building. Let's start with the assessment of skills. This is critical on BPM success because in everything we do, basic skills are definitely required. In case of process management, the basic skill would be the process modeling. But attention to other areas will address the needed prowess to BPM success. For example, on a paper published by Gartner, critical skills are identified in three different categories. These categories are a mix of transformational, operational, and technical skills. So let's check these three different critical skills that needs to be assessed. So number one is the transformational skills. This ensures successful change management. What does it mean? As we all know, change is inevitable, be it simple or major project or organizational change. Somehow at some point, change may happen. But when you can manage change effectively, you could always carry your organization into a business as usual state. We have here five examples under transformational skills, starting off with building BPM business case and vision. BPM initiatives succeeds or fails because of a business case and an unclear vision. It is important from the start to define how things will be done, how they can be done better, and what would be the business gain in the end. Following the business case and vision is the project management. Regardless of the industry, whether it's a private entity or the government, project management skill is on top because process handling and improvement cannot be done overnight. A skilled project manager shall oversee the overall progress. Third one is the knowledge of organizational structure and culture. Knowledge about the structure and culture will help the smooth transition of any BPM initiatives. Next on the line is communication. This is a given because, as we all know, communication is everything. It bridges the indifferences, it combines all ideas, and this will help a lot for process improvement. Because processes are often cross-functional, communication must be performed well. The last transformational skill is the organizational change techniques. Individuals must be adept to change so that everyone can be encouraged to continue to champion the process change despite of all the challenges. So that completes the transformational skills. Let's check the second one, which is the operational skills. This helps identify problems and improve performance. Leading the list is the business process discovery. So this is where the processes are defined, the processes to be streamlined, automated, and improved. This is a crucial step in BPM because the definition of the problem is the first and vital part of any BPM implementation. Following the process discovery, we have the process modeling, analysis, and design. The right context must be depicted into a model with clear boundaries. Designing also requires analytical skills to be able to improve the processes as well as its performance. Third is the process governance and process policy management. Most of the time, the unstable process policies hinders the successful process improvement. That's why before any BPM implementation, processes must be managed and governed with criticality. Even though BPM can easily adopt the change, it is more advisable to start with the right foot. The fourth one is the process performance management. Process improvement goes beyond just automation. In performing the BPM, the automated processes is not yet the end of the story because constant monitoring must be put in place in order to find or to spot the unexpected gray areas and bottlenecks. This will help the management to enhance the processes along the way by setting up different KPIs or key performance indicators and dashboards. The last part of operational skills is the constructing of a BPM methodology toolbox. The BPM knowledge area is sometimes broad and confusing. That's why new entrants to BPM find it hard to distinguish the right methodology to be adopted. One tip could be is to just use the methods you preferred or maybe you already know and just start building your own toolbox. The methodology toolbox just have to contain 4 different areas. Number 1 is the technique or the strategy of your organization on how the business processes will be defined. Example is the requirements analysis. Second one is the frameworks or the models to be used for the modeling. Example for this one is the BPMN or the business process modeling notation. The third part of toolbox is the methods. You can use Six Sigma or any other methods that will fit the needs of your organization. And the last part of toolbox is of course the tools, because in any implementation of BPM, you would have to use some tools or software to support the automation. Well, there are many BPM tools that are available to be used, but one good example is the Process Maker. It is a BPM workflow solution that focuses on digital process automation and platform. And that concludes the operational skills. Let's move on to the technical. So technical skills are for building and evolving solutions to support the process improvement. It also has 5 examples. First, the solution architecture and design. This may include the BPM life cycle, as we have discussed on the earlier part of the presentation, and also the created process maps. Next is the BPM technology product knowledge. As what I have told earlier, in any BPM implementation, you have to use some kind of tools and software to support the automation. That's why in choosing the effective solution or software, nowadays when a lot of vendors are offering integrated solutions, understanding what the software can do and how it can best integrate all your processes plays a vital key in choosing the right software. The third is the AMDAD, or the Agile and Model-Driven Application Development. As the name suggests, this is a kind of approach where you will have to do a little bit of modeling and a lot of coding. This theory tackles that it is good to do the model first before you do the coding and iterating back when you need to. So it's a combination of the agile methodology and the model-driven application development. The fourth one is the business process optimization and simulation. Process improvement is more than just automation. Skills in optimization and simulation will give the processes a clear value and improvement. And the last one for technical skills is the user experience design. Branding, design, usability, and function are some of the aspects of good user experience, thus making the BPM implementation more appealing and useful to end users. So there you have it. Those are the different critical skills that must be assessed as the first capacity and capability rating on BPM. So let's proceed with the second one. Okay, so it's the availability of resources. This capacity and capability building is an urgent matter. Why? Because resources should be acquired in order to fully support the business process improvement in any kind of implementation, especially the BPM. Without resources, everything will fail because resources plays a vital role in the implementation. So what are the different examples of resources? So let's get it one by one. First and main resources is the time. BPM revolves with different phases. Enough time must be allotted so that there will be no missed out activities because managing huge implementations requires a lot of time to develop. The second and third one is the expertise and talent. This is from the individuals who are knowledgeable enough to carry out the needed tasks. There are two types of process expertise and talent. The first one is the process owner, which is the brain. They are the ones who are knowledgeable with the organizational structure and culture, as well as the end-to-end processes and requirements. The second one is a group of skilled technical BPM individuals that can translate and facilitate the process improvement and automation. Adding to the resources is the roadmap or the timeline. Roadmap or timeline gives a different perspective, direction, and an eye to every step of activities so that the goals can be easily measured from time to time. And last one, but definitely not the least, because I think this is one of the most important part of resources, is the fund. All of the above general resources will be useless if not supported by fund, as well as the different activities on the BPM. Okay, so that was too fast. We are done with the second capacity and capability building. Moving on, let's proceed with the third and last one, industry and academic support. So what is industry and academic support? Successful BPM implementation doesn't depend solely on the good capabilities of a software and a business model. The commitment, the readiness, and the acceptance to change of all the individuals in the organization are highly needed. Everyone must fully grasp and share the BPM ideas. It is important to have a prevalent support in order to succeed and to have the process improvement needed. So there you have it. Those are the different capacity and capability buildings that must be performed on BPM. So for our conclusion, the key takeaway of this webinar would be the following. We started on defining what is the general vision of the government up to the different capacity that must be performed by the government. Because providing better public service must be inherent. the government process management, and the business process management, techniques and strategies must be realized and be implemented. The implementation of BPM concepts guides the performances of day-to-day processes. It also gives tools and help to better process execution, experience, and monitoring. Over the years, the public administration has gone through many significant changes, but applying and utilizing the concept and tools of business process management as well as the government process management, these changes can be easily adopted and managed, thus resulting to the fundamental key, the achieving of the operational excellence, transparency, commitment, monitoring, experience, and a more compassionate public sector. So that is our conclusion. And to wrap up this webinar, we're going to show you some sample process that was made through the use of BPM. Unfortunately, we only have a limited amount of time, so we cannot provide you the full-blown demo of an end-to-end process creation, development, execution, and monitoring. But we're going to show you some processes, which is an actual processes that was developed through the use of BPM, so that you can have a better idea on what process modeling looks like. On the early part of our presentation, we have identified the BPM as well as the BPM life cycle, which consists of the process design, modeling, execution, monitoring, optimization. In process modeling, the usual output is a process map. So what is a process map? So let's check. This is an actual process map that was created through the use of BPM software. By the way, this is made through the use of Process Maker. It is a BPM workflow solution that is used for designing processes, developing processes, monitoring processes, executing processes, and a whole lot more. The software has a lot of good capabilities and features for BPM implementation. I cannot discuss the wholeness of the software because I only have a limited amount of time. If you want to explore more about the tool, you can just visit their website at www.processmaker.com. They have their own guides and wikis for your possible questions and explorations. So going back to our example, as you can see on your screens, this is a process map. In case you are not familiar of the elements of a process map, this is like a swimming pool. The pool is the container of the whole process, and there are lanes. The lanes are the borders of each users. The lanes has the different tasks intended to be performed by the respective users. The flow of the process is from top to bottom. So in our example, there are 5 lanes. So there are 5 users. The first user is the project proponent. Next is the division chief, followed by the planning officer and the techer, and the last is the director. This process is all about the submission of project proposals and the review of project proposals up to the approval of the project proposal. So at the first glance, you might think that this is just a plain image that can be printed and can be used for presentation purposes, but actually this is an executable process, meaning to say this process can be run, this process is executable. How does it happen? You might be thinking, how? How does it run? So this process contains different elements. By the way, this is the BPMN. The used modeling notation for this one is guided with the BPMN, or the business process modeling notation. We have here the different notation. This one is the top start, the green one. It indicates the trigger of the start of the process. And these rectangular shapes are the tasks or the actions that needs to be performed by the users. Of course, there are the lines which connects the steps and the tasks. There are decision-making gateways. There are also script tasks, which contains codes and conditions. And there are also email notifications. This process map was designed through the use of process maker features. The process developer can code inside these steps and put all the necessary conditions, put all the web forms, create the output documents or the documents to be generated, as well as the different codes and conditions and a whole lot more. This process is an example of a complex process. And designing your process would be difficult at first, but one tip could be is just to define first your processes, understand your processes, and once you have your manual processes, you just have to analyze the wholeness of the process, distinguish the redundancies, duplicates, the possible repetitive requirements, because there are a lot of instances that the manual processes might have redundancies. There must be a step that can be removed or can be merged with another step. So process modeling just goes beyond just plotting your models into automated ones, because after all, BPM is all about improving your processes, not just automating it. Okay, so this is the first example. The next one is this one. So this is a more straightforward process than the first one. Basically, this is a process for project monitoring reports where the users can just fill up the form, and after submission, the data will be automatically saved and the report will be automatically generated. All the submitted reports are saved on the database and can be used for future reference and reports. The next example is this one, the project completion process. So after the successful submission and approval of the project proposal, and after the submission of all the monitoring reports for the project, and when the time has come that the project has ended, this is the process for the completion. So the user just have to fill up the terminal report and submit it. The planning officer will be automatically notified with the submission and must review the submitted report. They can reject and request for another modification, or they can approve and proceed with the end of the process. There's a lot more to be discussed about process modeling, but one tip could be is just to define first your processes, collect all your business processes, and determine all the bottlenecks with that manual processes before actually creating that into a model. Because when you just plot the as-is processes on the automated softwares, it's just like doing something while doing nothing. You will not gain anything in the end if you're not going to improve your processes. Let us always remember that business process management aims to have your processes an efficient process in the end. Let us remember that BPM is not just about automation. It is about empowering your processes, improving your processes, and it is always about gaining a value in the end. So that's it. Thank you for joining our webinar. We hope that you learned a lot from this topic, and we want you to explore more about the BPM because it is a good topic and it's a good practice, especially in the public sector. And if you have questions, just message us or email us, and we will be gladly helping you with anything about BPM. So again, thank you for joining our webinar, and we hope to see you again in our next webinar. Thank you.